Everybody's different.
We come from different places. And we all want different things. I want to grow my career.
I want to make a difference.
I want my research to have an impact. But we all have one thing in common.
We want to be somewhere we can fulfill our ambition. Not just a graduate business school, but a global community full of people who want to go further,
Push harder. Achieve more.
do things differently,
With the faculty producing cutting-edge research that's making a difference.
changing how we think.
A community that's making its mark on Ireland and the world.
At Ireland's highly ranked and triple accredited business school, offering internationally recognised MBA and Business Masters programmes. Distinctively located in Dublin, one of the friendliest, most exciting cities in the world. And home to the world's leading companies. A local campus with a global network of alumni, where students connect with industry leaders and each other.
Where faculty address the biggest problems of today, creating real solutions for the real world. We'll all end up with different careers.
In different places,
Making an impact in business and society.
we're all different.
But we'll always have one thing in common.
UCD Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School. Creating a better future.
Welcome to this session, to this webinar from UCD, from the University College Dublin. And before we go over to Dublin, where we have a great lineup of speakers ready for you, I'm going to briefly explain to you a little bit of the interactive options. My name is Luc Mulling. I'm the moderator of today. And at your fingertips, we have several ways you can interact with us. So first of all, I already saw some people saying hello or where they're from. You can do that in the chat. So just to get some interactivity going there. But of course, if you have any questions, you can let us know in the panel called questions. And you can do that at any time throughout the session. And we will be answering the questions at the end in the Q&A part. Now, important is that for the people that are watching the recording, you can also still write your questions. Of course, we cannot answer them live. However, we will be sending the questions through to the staff of UCD. So by all means, do participate. Also, I will be opening up a couple of polls just to get to know you a little bit more throughout the session. And last but not least, we have a react button. So at the bottom of the screen, you see a little button called react, and there you can click to see, and yes, for example, the thumbs up, we like those, just to make it a little bit more interactive and fun. So do by all means, let us know when you like something, and give some interaction for the audience and the speakers as well. All right, talking about speakers, we are going over to the presenters of today. We have two panelists and speakers from the UCD. That is Mr. Jim Derenick and Jola Meyer. They will introduce themselves in a little bit, and they're joined by four current students and alumni, Caroline, Artie, Kevin, and Jenny, and they will later introduce themselves as well. So without further ado, let's go over to Jim, and he will introduce himself, and start with the presentation.
So welcome everyone, either good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are sitting in the U.S. and Canada. But first of all, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to learn about our MBA and Master's programs. Part of the the biggest thing is gathering information, and that's why we're here for you today, is to share information. We want you to have all the facts, make the right choices, and hopefully we can provide that for you. If there are questions you get us today, if we can't answer them today, we will surely get back to you with the answers. But again, our goal today is to provide you with as much information as we can, for sure. So Luke, can I get the slides? And I'll be ready to go. Thank you. So again, welcome. We appreciate everyone coming in today. So again, my name is Jim Duranek. I'm the National Recruiting Manager for for North America. So that does cover all of North America and actually do some South America. So my contact information is listed on there. So if you have a chance, if you want to get that down, that's fine. But again, happy to help you in any way we can. So the agenda as we're going to follow today, we're going to go overview the MBA and master's programs. We're going to discuss how doing an MBA in Ireland can benefit you. We're going to talk about relocating to Dublin. Actually, Yola's going to talk about that. And then we do have 2 alumni and 2 students to talk about their experience. So that is a great opportunity for you to ask questions. And we have our alumni and students up. They're the ones who have been through it, who are going through it. So they know the ropes on this. They know what to do. And finally, how to apply, what the steps are to apply. And then we'll go to a live question and answer session for you. Okay. So moving forward, why get an MBA? Why do a Smurfit MBA? There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of choices out there, but we really feel our program is a little bit special and has a lot to offer for anyone who joins the program. For one thing, we are triple accredited. So those of you in North America, I'm sure you know about AACSB, which is the major accrediting agency for business schools in the US. But we also are accredited by EQUIS and AMBA, which is the UK and also Europe. So 3 accreditations, which really shows you the quality of the program. We have being in Dublin, we do have strong corporate connections, which can help because obviously, when you are coming from an MBA program, the goal is to, get a job, get a better job, get a job in the area you want to get a job in. We do have a lot of corporate connections. So that helps you in that where we can assist you through our career services department and, in finding you those positions. We do have a leadership development program, and I'll go into that in the next slide or two, that actually runs throughout the course of the program. It's a course, but it's not a course. It's kind of a course, but it just prepares you how to be leaders in the industry after your MBA. And we also have the Global Alumni Network, which includes 4,000 MBA, 104,000 Smurfit School graduates. So that's a large number of people who out there that can be your contacts. When you are looking for jobs, when you're looking for suggestions, looking for advice, it's a large number of people who can help you. So this slide here kind of lays out the MBA curriculum as we do it. It's kind of in blocks of 4, but the majority of the courses are in, as you see, the autumn, spring, and summer semester. The program is 1 year in length, so it's quite a bit different than a US program. The program runs 12 consecutive months, so there's no break in the middle for 3 months off or anything like that. You go 12 consecutive months. You start with Foundation Week, which is a week on campus where, it's a lot of introductions, but it's a welcome, kind of gets you used to, how the process works, gets you some introductions, gets you some training, but that is the Foundation Week on campus. Then we go into the 3 semesters. As you can see, there are 3 semesters. They each have core modules, which means everyone will take. And then there are option modules, which obviously by the name, they are options. There are a few things that if you look under the autumn semester, the GNAM program, GNAM, Global Network Advanced Management, that is an option that you can work with other universities. That is a program you do have to apply for. So not everyone gets into that, but it is something you apply for. But we also do have, as part of the program, We have 2 consulting projects, one international, one local, and then there is also an international, we call it a trip. It's not a vacation, it's an international trip, but what we do, we visit another country. You're visiting companies, meeting with business leaders, finding out how business is being done. So it's usually one of the highlights of the programs for sure. And at the bottom in the gold there, you see the leadership development program. That's your development. Like I said, it's not really a course, but it runs through the entire length of the program. It just helps you develop skills to be, a leader once you come out, you graduate from the program. Okay, a little bit about the MBA class profile. These are all just some statistics that kind of give you an idea what a class looks like. We're about half and half, as it goes to male, female, with an average age of 30, 7 years work experience, 80% international, which isn't really that unusual. In Ireland's a smaller country, so 20% Irish, 80% international. Average GMAT of 680, so you will have to take either a GMAT or GRE exam in order to be admitted into the program. We were ranked 94 by Financial Times, the full-time MBA rank, so 94th globally. So top 100 globally is really a great thing for us. It's something to strive for sure. 74% average growth in earnings from the beginning to the end. 90% employed within 3 months. I think that is the number you want to be focused in on. 90% is a huge success rate for any career service if everyone from the class can be employed within 3 months. And about 2/3 of the class changed their business sector from where they came in to where they ended up. On the right, you can see some of the major hiring companies that we work with, some of the major companies in Dublin. I'm sure you recognize almost all of those names. So they're multinational, US, large companies. So there's a lot of opportunity in Dublin right now in the workforce, and it's something that you can, fully take advantage of for sure. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the master's programs. Okay, there's a little bit of difference, but a lot of the same things apply. So it's not like there's a huge difference between the two as far as what we provide as far as global rankings, leadership development, strong corporate connections. The things that are different, obviously, with the MBA, we're looking for substantial amount of work experience. Where in the master's programs, depending on the program, you can come in right after undergrad. Like, you don't have to work. There are a couple of programs where you may have to have some experience in the area. They could be internships or things like that you've done. But for the majority of the programs, we do look at you can be admitted to those programs right after your undergrad. Again, talking about with the alumni network, with the alumni network in the community when you graduate, 304,000 UCD alumni in 179 countries, 102,000 College of Business alumni. Again, just think about that. A lot of people, they go to a school, but they don't realize what the alumni network can do for them. The alumni network is huge. Actually, just, little story. I'm in New York right now, and we had an alumni event last night. And there were people from large companies at these alumni events that you can connect with. You talk about job progression, job changing. People can help you. So there's all kinds of ways to do this. But the alumni network is huge and something we firmly believe in that can help you, as you advance in your career. So I know this is hard to read. It's a little small, but it is a list of our master's programs. Now, again, all these master's programs are 1 year length with no break on the full-time. So the first column, you see the master's programs, and then you see the full-time. So every program is full-time. There are a few programs that are part-time, and there's a couple that are online. But for sure, all the programs are full-time. So if you are in another country, so if you're in the US, you really cannot do a part-time program. Because that part-time program still means you need to be on campus once or twice a week. So Even though it is part-time, but you need to be attending class on campus. The online program, there is a management online program, so that one obviously you could do remotely, but the others are all on campus. So it gives you an idea. There's quite a big range of degrees you can choose from. You don't always. A lot of people have the misconception that you need to have a business degree to come into business school or do a business master's, and that's not always true. You don't need a lot of these programs are not, the MS in management, the marketing, some of like human resources, those you don't necessarily need a business degree. Now, if you are, are interested in finance, that may be a different story. You do have to have some additional background in finance. You can't be a liberal arts major with no finance in your background and then come into the Master's of Finance program. But the great thing about our website, you can go into the Smurfit website, you can pull up the programs individually and look at the requirements, and it will tell you exactly what you need and what we're looking for. So that's one thing that I suggest to everyone. If you're thinking of a program, go into the website, look into the detail of the title, and that will tell you a great deal about the program. This is another slide which it's a little tough to read. I know it's kind of a graph thing, but it tells you which areas. If you were, for instance, so just if you look at the very top one to make it real easy for you, if you're a master in accounting, the shaded is what we need. So obviously, if you have an accounting degree, you would qualify the program, or if you have a business degree with significant classes. Same thing, accounting and financial management. So obviously the ones that are a little more technical, you're going to have the background in. The ones that are not as technical, as you can see all the dark shaded areas, that means you can come in from any major. But there are a lot of different options for you to choose from, just depending on what you want to do. Okay, so I am now going to turn this over to Yola, who's going to talk a little bit about the experience of moving to Dublin.
Thank you so much, Jim. Hi, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here and to see such a great audience. My name is Yola Marr. I look after international students here in the Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School. So in my role, I literally support students from the moment they inquire about the program in terms of their relocation to Ireland, settling down, and then in my job, I ensure that there's as much integration on campus as possible. As Jim mentioned, we have a very international audience. Our students come from over 50 different countries. And as you could see that the stats on the MBA, it's 80% international. For the whole school, the number is slightly lower, it's about 60% of international students and 40% Irish students. So it's a lovely mix, and it's a very international campus. When you walk through the building, you could just see people working together on projects, and you can tell they're from all over the world. So it's really great vibe, very, very international. So, so I'm here to basically mention to you the supports that there are for international students, and just tell you a little bit about the post-completion working rights that our graduates have or can apply for. So just to also mention that all over the world, UCD have 5 global centers. So we're based in India, China, the US, and where else are we? We're probably in South America as well. So that's where our team works as well. So we can connect with our colleagues locally who are based in your region or in your home country, or else you can just reach to us directly here. There's loads of ways you can engage with us. And we also have a colleague of mine who looks after the student well-being. It's a student advisor. Her name is Raleigh, and she basically ensures that your journey and your experience in the school is as smooth as possible. So we work together to support students. Should you or should any student, have any difficulties or experience problems or have any kind of obstacles, not that you will, but if you do, we're there to help you, support you, assist you, and direct you to get back on the road again. So basically, that's really it. That's a short introduction of what I do, and you're more than welcome to drop me an email, ask questions in the chat later on, or engage in any other way. I would be more than delighted to help you. And if we just, thank you so much. There is a mention. I'd like to mention the 2-year stay back visa. Another name for it is third level graduate program, or it's also known as Stamp 1G, G for graduate. So this basically is a working rights permit that any graduates of Smurfit School can apply for. It's a 24 months permission, which is initially obtained for 12 months, and after 12 months you have to reapply, and you basically just have to prove that you're either actively seeking a job employment, or else that you're actually currently working at the time, and it's just automatically extended for another 12 months. So that's a kind of what we like to call it. It's like a bridging visa program. So between you being a student and you getting a work permit from your prospective employer, this is like a working rights permission that allows you to look for a job, find a job, settle in a job, and then get yourself a longer term immigration status here in Ireland if you'd like to stay and if you're happy to work here. So that's kind of quick mention of it, I suppose. And if you have any questions, you can ask. You're more than welcome to ask later, or as I said, drop me an email. So I'm going to hand over to our lovely 4 students and alumni, Caroline, Artie, Kevin, and Jenny. Over to you guys. Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Yola. So, if you 4 wouldn't you mind, just real quick, just a brief, 30-second, little bit about yourself, and just so everyone knows who you are.
Hi, my name's Caroline. I'm from just outside Chicago, and I did the MBA graduated 2020, and I currently work in tech for a tech startup.
Thanks, Caroline. Jennifer, I'm going to call on you.
Thanks. That was confusing. Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm currently doing the Business Analytics Masters at Smurfit.
Thanks, Jenny. Artie?
Hi, I'm Artie. I am originally from Philadelphia, but I spent 10 years before coming here in San Francisco. So I'm from one of those 2 places, depending on how you count it. And I am currently an MBA student here in Dublin.
Thanks, Artie. Kevin?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin. I am from about an hour and a half outside of Philadelphia. I did the Master of Science in International Business in 2020, 2021. And now working for a company called Sedgwick in Dublin.
Perfect. Thanks, Kevin. All right, I have a few questions here, so I'm just going to run them by you. The first one here is for current students, for the 2 of you that are in the program. So it's kind of the obvious one that we always think of. So, why did you choose your program, and why did you choose Smurfit? Like, how did that happen?
I can start off. For an obvious reason, I chose Smurfit and going to school outside of America because the business analytics programs are half the price and half the time. Especially Smurfit, their program is a lot of information condensed into 1 year, which I found to be very valuable rather than spreading it out over 2 years so you can leave and get paid sooner. And also the price is a big factor because the outcomes from Smurfit, I was speaking just the other day with my program director, are similar, very comparable to outcomes from business analytics programs in the US, but you are definitely getting a better return on your investment.
All right, perfect. Already from the MBA perspective, what do you have to say?
Very, very much similar to what you said, Jenny. That for me, the why an MBA is somewhat a different question, but having decided on an MBA, Smurfit really stood out to me. Again, it's a 1 year program. that means both that I get my degree sooner. It also reduces the opportunity cost. It's 1 year that I'm not in the workforce as opposed to 2 years. Most MBA programs in the United States, at least, are 2 years or at least 20 months, which is a lot like 2 years. But here it's 12 months in and out. And then particularly for UCD Smurfit, it was the incredible international diversity of the place. Many of the schools that I looked at in the United States would boast of having 10% international students or 15% international students. Well, if you go abroad, then everyone's an international student, right? It sort of just flips the ratio. So I found that really helpful to stretch me a bit beyond my comfort zone and to expose me to a world beyond, beyond just Silicon Valley, which can be a very insular kind of community.
All right, thanks, Artie. Kevin, I'm going to go to you. So what probably was the highlight, do you think, of your program at Smurfit?
Geez, it's a difficult one. I was here during the COVID year. So I had a bit of a unique experience in terms of what I did get to do and what I didn't get to do. But Smurfit still did a really good job of ensuring that we still got to network and connect with our classmates, and whatever we were allowed to do by government guidelines, we were. So I think just learning how to it was a segue to adapt to, now businesses, you're either working from home or it's hybrid. So you're on a lot of Teams calls or Zoom calls. And it really, it allowed you to learn how to collaborate with your, what would now be your coworkers over a Zoom call rather than in person. So that was a huge takeaway from that year, and what was difficult circumstances, but ended up being a pretty unique experience all the same.
All right, perfect. Thanks. Caroline, do you have anything to add to that one?
Yeah, I also did it during the lovely time of COVID, but a little bit different. We were in the middle of our program when it all hit, but I still thoroughly enjoyed. We did the international trip to Argentina, and while some of it was changed, I loved the perspective we got, the global perspective, being in Argentina, and things changed and the adaptability that the team had there, but we still were exposed to a number of different industries that I would never have even thought of to even explore or learn from. So I really enjoyed that, as well as GNAM. I really liked the GNAM global perspective. We were working with people from a load of different universities, as well as then deep diving into the tech sector and the different industries and companies in Dublin that obviously you've already mentioned. So those two experiences were just amazing.
Okay, thanks, Carol. So I'm going to stay with you, Carol, and ask another question for the alumni. So how has your MBA helped you? How did it help you? How did the job search go? How did the MBA help you? How's it helped you in your career so far?
It's a great question. I mean, first and foremost, the network has been, phenomenal with the alumni and the mentoring program that is set up with alumni across the different sectors, what you're looking for and what industry you're hoping to gain that experience from. I leveraged that when making my first decision, where I actually was in a role at TikTok and the PMO, and I wasn't sure if that was the best role for me or moving to a different industry altogether outside of tech. So that was really helpful, leveraging just their past experience and just the openness and willingness to kind of provide that. So that's been really helpful just from that first step post MBA, and then also just beyond that, working with my cohort, just even last week discussing potential options and growth and kind of getting new ideas and just a sounding board. So I've really leveraged the alumni from that, and I've taken 2 steps since graduating, and it's been really helpful to have that background.
Perfect, thanks. Kevin, how about you? How's your degree helped you within your role?
Yeah, it's huge for me as well. Especially being in international business, being able to work with people. I'm now in a project management position where I'm doing a lot of things with onboarding clients internationally, and So that's helped. But the actual curriculum from the international business was incredible too. I'm working project management. Project management was one of the modules we did during the degree, and cross-cultural management and international business, global marketing, all this stuff. I've had to use aspects of the degree in my previous position with Sedgwick, and now the current one in the PMO as well. So it's you don't realize how important it is until you're sitting there in your day to day, and all of a sudden the concept comes up that you crossed during your degree, and it has been a huge help in that aspect.
All right, thanks, Kevin. So back to our current students, Artie, this is kind of and I'm going to come to you then, Jenny, so you can prepare your answer, you can think about it. But Artie, so two-part question. So what was your experience, right, relocating to Dublin? And then, what advice, since you've done it, what advice would you give to any students coming to Dublin from either US or Canada?
So it was a big shift. I think somewhat obviously, it's a good deal of distance. For better or for worse, or for fair or not fair, it does help being an American in these things. Some of my other colleagues report more difficulties. I guess we'll start with visa. It's as easy as pie to come here on a tourist visa. That's not what you need to stay here as a student, but it's very easy for you to pop over here to Ireland and sort of get a lay of the land. If at all possible, if your finances and your time and your calendar permit, I would advise you to come to Dublin either while you're applying or certainly once you're making a decision about schools to attend. That's really helpful. And if you're at least a United States citizen, you can just pop on over. So that's been very helpful. But the relocation, it's a little tricky for two reasons that might not apply to too many people. Number one, I was a homeowner in the United States, so I was undergoing the process of selling my home so that I could come here. And I'm also married, so that's another complication because it wasn't just me, it was me plus my wife also coming over. So I don't want to dwell too much on that, although if there is anybody out there who has either of those situations, I would be happy to talk to you privately. But in terms of finding accommodation and getting settled, culturally, it's just different enough that it'll surprise you, usually in delightful ways, but it can surprise you because it's not America. It's not American English, it's not American culture. It is similar, but it's just different enough that it can startle you sometimes. I found it challenging to find accommodation right away. I would advise anybody, I think you're probably going to hear from Yola, that you should get here sooner rather than later. It is really important that you get accommodations settled before you begin your classes, before you start. They call them modules here. I was able to do so. Things did work out. Things will work out, but it takes a lot of work and a little bit of luck, and it takes some time. If at all possible, live on campus. That really wasn't an option for me. It's as a married student, but if it is an option for you, I think that solves a lot of problems very quickly and lets you focus on your studies where the studies need to be. In terms of adjustments, it's a good bit cheaper than San Francisco. I don't know that I would necessarily say that Dublin is objectively cheap. It's just coming from San Francisco, I found that housing and I found everything to be fairly affordable. But there's a lot of cost of living surveys. There's a lot of this data online, and you should figure out your budget for things. Everything gets better. Everything gets easier with the class, the project you're about to undertake. If you've done some planning, if you've done a little research, you do not want to be learning all of these things in late August when classes are about to begin. But it is possible. You can make it work, and I'd be happy to talk to people, with more specifics as you get more specific questions.
Jim, you're on mute. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Thanks for catching that so quickly. I didn't talk a long time. Jenny, anything else you can add to that?
Yeah, just adding to what Artie said, the culture is great because it's not so much of a culture shock that it's a difficult adjustment. But if anything, a lot of things about Ireland are easier. Coming from living in New York City, the people aren't known to be friendly. But in Ireland, if you ever need help or just want to talk to someone, there's always someone there. They're the friendliest people I've ever met, always willing to help. Random people at the gym will give my LinkedIn to other people trying to find me a job. It's sometimes confusing, but then I just remember not everyone is like New York City people. And unlike Artie, I didn't own a home and I wasn't married. So it was really simple, the visa process and leaving America. I pretty much just went through, got my stamp. There was not much to it. So that definitely is a benefit of coming from the US. And my advice would be to reach out to alumni or current students, either on Facebook or LinkedIn, because they are typically excited and very willing to help. And that's how I got a lot of advice on what areas to live in. Some people would even tell me they have vacancies in the house they're staying in, or just a lot of helpful tips. So you can even reach out to me, but definitely seek out alumni and current students.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. So I got a question. I mean, for any of this really goes to any one of you. So what, you know, some of you are halfway through it, you know, or more actually now, so you're all the way through it. If you had to look back on your experience and you know, I mean, for you, you know, was it worth it? You know, would you do it again? You know, what are the huge like aha moments you've had that says, man, I'm so glad I did this, and it was, you know, the best thing I ever did?
I can start. Something that I have found extremely beneficial for building my career in the US and Dublin is Smurfit's strong connections with the tech industry, which I'm going into. Because, like you must know, there are just about every tech company you could imagine in the US has their European headquarters in Dublin. And so, just in terms of even planning my capstone project, I feel like I've had endless options to work on really interesting projects with big tech companies, which I would definitely be interested in working for. And so, coming from the US, I was a bit concerned about having connections when I went back. But after doing the master's and working with my professors and students and alumni, I feel very well connected in the tech industry, both in the US and Dublin.
Perfect, thanks. Anyone else have anything different?
I 100% echo that, as I'm obviously now in the tech sector. But one thing I'd like to add as an American that I found super beneficial, I didn't think about, was FAFSA. You know, FAFSA works with UCD, and the process was actually a lot less painful than I had mentally prepared for. So I think obviously the ROI coming to Smurfit was huge, and obviously get back in the workforce, great after a year, but having that backup of FAFSA, which I don't think you get, you know, all international universities, that was key, and a really big plus for me.
Okay, perfect.
I'd say the MBA, the pre MBA time, the application. I imagine this is true for the other programs as well. But the times when you're looking at schools and looking where you want to go, that's also a time when you need to be doing some deep introspection, asking yourself what it is that you want and what your goals are, because these programs are very intense, and there are so many different options and opportunities, and you won't be able to take full advantage of all of them. I often compare the program, it's like a salad bar. You're not supposed to eat everything at the salad bar, or a Sunday newspaper. Nobody reads the entire Sunday newspaper. And so you need to go into it, and it can be a bit overwhelming, the number of choices, the number of really interesting, compelling options. And having done some work, knowing yourself what your priorities are, whether that's a job, whether it's a professional development, whether it's a network, whether it's a specific skill set, whether it's a specific leadership qualities, whatever it is that you're here to get, knowing that early on will help you organize the many decisions you'll have to make. You can't say yes to everything. You can't give your best work to everything, and you can't go on every trip. You can't take every class. You can't have every conversation with every great professor. That's a little bit heartbreaking, but it's also wonderful. But you will be better guided through those decisions if you've done a little work ahead of time. What is it that truly matters to you? and not necessarily what other people in your class are jumping for or excited about.
Okay, thanks, Artie. So Kevin, I'm going to get a different question for you. So Artie kind of mentioned this, but I just want to see what you thought, because, as Artie said, in the US, we go into a classroom and it's, we're 80% from the US, 20% international. And you go to UCD, you kind of flip in the script there. So, what was that like for you, and what, what advantages did you find from that?
So my experience as well, I was the only American in my module, or my course. So everybody else was from a different country, and there was, I think, between 10 and 15 different nationalities, and out of 60 people. It was a very, very unique experience, and there is a learning curve. You have to be prepared to be accepting that other people grew up in a different culture, a different country, a different way of doing things, but extremely, extremely beneficial to be in that setting. I think baptism by fire is often the best way to learn, just being thrown off the deep end, and to just accept, to have no expectations, and kind of just go in there and learn on the fly. It's the best thing I've ever done for my professional career, but also in terms of my undergrad or graduate program. Absolutely.
Okay. So Caroline, how was that in the MBA program with a mix like that?
Yeah, similar. I had a bit of a different experience. I was living and working in Spain prior to moving to Dublin, and so yeah, not so much baptism by fire, but similar. Just being exposed to an array of backgrounds culturally, and more importantly, like how you work and fit together within those different cultures, and then. What's really great is just they become some of your really great friends that you can also, I've been able to bounce ideas off of just yesterday, talking with a really good friend of mine from India, and a friend from Brazil. So we've been bouncing off different ideas for the workplace, but with the different cultural backgrounds, and it kind of builds up that, just a different perspective that you in the workplace you don't usually get when you're working maybe just within the US.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So before I go back to the slides, are there any one or two comments that maybe, I didn't ask you the question that you wanted, but are there any two comments or words of advice you would have for anyone who's looking to go to UCD? I'll start with you, Jenny.
My advice would be, other than what I already mentioned, with just trusting that the process is easy to get here, the people are friendly, it's not going to be a tough adjustment, is to apply earlier rather than later, because I did everything a bit last minute, and surprisingly, it worked out really well. And it was a simple process, so that's great. But it would have been much less stressful if I had been proactive and figured this out earlier. So yeah, just figure out which program works best for you and try to plan ahead.
Perfect. Artie, anything?
I would say reach out and ask a lot of questions. It felt to me weird as someone in California during the pandemic. Everything was a little weird. Why would I write to someone who was attending a business school on the other side of the world, and why would that person respond? And maybe it is weird, but so what? It's totally free. LinkedIn is free, email is free. The worst thing that could possibly happen is that they don't reply, and that's really not that bad. Avail yourself of these questions. Ask the questions, because you're making a big investment of time. You're making a big investment of effort. You're making yes, it's a very good deal. It's an excellent ROI, but it's still a substantial investment of money. Ask the questions, and because you'll just get better. You'll get better and more information. Just try and be soaking up a lot of information about what is right for you. It's a year that is going to change you. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your classmates to be as informed as you possibly can be about those things. If at all possible, come to the school. Come to the school, see what it's like, talk to some students. I realize plane tickets are not cheap. Work commitments are what they are. Family commitments are what they are. But if at all possible, try and get here, whatever schools you're looking at and applying to, because you'll just know things. You'll just pick up on things when you're there. I got such a good feeling about Smurfit from being here on campus. That's really helpful. Some of the schools that I wasn't able to visit, I just ended up feeling uncertain about them.
Good advice. Caroline, Kevin, anything else to add, or if you don't, that's fine.
I think it's all been said. So best of luck, and ask questions. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I mean, we'll have questions at the end of this. So, again, everyone, thank you, panel, for sure. First of all, thank you. It's really valuable to hear from your experiences. You've lived it, you're living it. So, we appreciate you taking the time, to convey your experiences with the people. Luke, can I get the slides back real quick? Thank you. Okay, how to apply. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the application process. For the MBA, the application process at Smurfit really isn't much different than any other university you would be applying to for either the master's or the MBA program. I'm going to just go over the MBA first. A university degree, obviously, you have to have a university degree, minimum of 3 years quality professional work experience. Our average is around 7, to be honest with you, but we look, and now that professional work experience means time after you have graduated. So we're not talking about internships or anything like that. So work that you have done after graduation. You would need to take a GMAT or an executive assessment or GRE exam for the MBA program. That is a requirement. So something real quick about that. I mean, I know it's people don't like to do it. It's kind of something that, people like shake their head at, but there are tools out there for you to study, for you to prepare. I would highly recommend doing that if you are interested in the MBA and going to take the GMAT exam. There are in-class, there are, in-personal sessions, there are videos or tutorials, but make sure you please do something. Doing nothing and taking that test, you will not succeed. I can guarantee you that, but it is something you do have to prepare for. So I just want to make sure you do that. You do need to complete a recommendations form. We will provide a template for your recommenders. If you are applying for the MBA, I would expect it to be someone your supervisor. If you cannot do your supervisor, someone who is maybe a client or someone you've worked with, someone who knows you in the business environment that can talk about you in the business environment. English language, obviously, this is, we're talking US, Canada, hopefully, so there's no issue there. We won't need that. Completed application form, yes, but current resume, CV. We do, require that just to show your work experience. As you go through the process, though, you don't have to complete it all at one time. There are a couple essays on there also, so you don't have to complete this all at one time. So especially like the essays, don't go in there and, think you have to complete it one time. You can go in and out and submit things at different times. So, do that, but, get your transcripts, get everything that you can do, fill out, go back, do your essays, get your letters of recommendation, but it can be done in different pieces. So just, try to stay on top of it. But again, kind of like Jenny said, the sooner the better. If you can get them in, the sooner you get everything in, the sooner we can get going on them. There are some scholarships available for MBAs listed there. The Women MBA Scholarship, Full-Time Regional Excellence, GMAT Scholarship, UCD Global Excellence, and the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Scholarship. All scholarships you must apply for. So again, look on your application through the website, and it will tell you how to apply for those scholarships. For the master's, it's pretty much the same thing as far as the application process, except you don't always need a work experience. It depends on the program. There are a few programs, and again, if you look at the requirements on the website, that will tell you, what if you need any experience. But many of them you can come right out of undergrad. You do not, again, as far as the GMAT, Executive Assessment, or GRE, it is not required for all programs, only certain programs. So make sure you look at the detail of your program and see if that is something that is required, because it is not required for everything. Again, your letters of recommendation, if you're coming right out of undergrad, you probably don't have a lot for work, so professors would be fine, but we definitely want someone who knows you, that can talk about you. English language, I would think there'd be no problems there. The essays, there will be essays attached to each application, and again, a current CV. So the process is pretty much the same, and simple. It's no different than any other scholarship. There are quite a number of master scholarships. There are some too that can depend on which program you're flying to. So again, make sure to go into the website and look up the program you're applying to, because there may be some scholarships that are unique to that program. Some programs do have that. But again, if I were you, I would apply to every scholarship I could, and then see how it shakes out at the end. Then you can decide. We can't stack scholarships, but you can definitely take the one that's the biggest advantage to you, for sure. Okay, now it is time to turn it over to Q&A. So I know some of you have been posting questions, but we're all here, from any of us, from admissions, from the alumni, from the current students, from Yola, about getting there. Anyone, we are open for questions.
Great indeed. Thank you, Jim, and all of you already for your great input. Now we go over to the Q&A. Just to highlight for the people that are watching the recording, you can also still participate and write your questions. Of course, we cannot answer them live, right? So we will be sending them through to the staff of UCD. Let's go over the questions. Luke was asking, is it difficult to find accommodation in Dublin? Any tips? And I think, Jennifer, you answered something already, but maybe good for everyone to hear about this.
Yeah, I can elaborate on what I answered to Luke. I think the most helpful thing for me was reaching out to current students and alumni. Someone already messaged me on LinkedIn during the meeting. It's nice to meet you. And people in Ireland are extremely willing to help and friendly, more than you would expect. So like Artie was saying, it might feel awkward to just LinkedIn or Facebook random people, but it's really not. And I think that's something that I learned just through Smurfit networking too, that it's normal in the business world to randomly reach out to people, and people want to help. They feel good about helping, so don't feel bad asking for things. And they will be the best resources to help you understand what areas to look for, and just maybe their friends have vacancies or real estate agents that have helped in the past.
Perfect. Great. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Anyone wants to add something to this?
Maybe if you could ask, sorry, I'll add a couple of words. Just to say that I think Artie has already flagged it. It's not an easy market for rental, especially during the high season, which is summer, when you'll have students and starting to look for a place to live, which is the local students as well as international students. It's not easy, or I probably should rephrase it and say it's difficult. So the reason what I'm saying is I'd like you to be aware of it and plan accordingly. So arrive early. What I mean by early, I would say ideally a month before you're due to start your studies. Now, I know it's very early, and obviously it costs to live locally in the temporary accommodation before you find a place to live. But I think as Artie has stressed, it's a really intense program, and it's incredibly intense from day one. So you can't really afford to be looking for a place to live while starting your whether it's master's or MSc or an MBA program. So it's not easy, it's difficult. I've actually put together a handbook, which I'm updating now for current intake now, and it's going to be available from middle of next week. It will be on our website. It will be in our communication to incoming students, which will start end of April. We'll start sending emails on a monthly basis. There'll be webinars by myself and other colleagues kind of supporting students' relocation to Ireland. There actually is an upcoming webinar about accommodation specifically on 3rd of May. I will be sending out invitation to students, those who have applied and been offered a place, and it will be recorded as well, so it can be watched on demand later on. So there is a lot of information, but you have to do research yourself, reach out to us, read all the resources, and do plan to come early. That's really my advice. Thank you so much. Back to you, Jim.
All right. Next question, Luke, yeah?
Sure. Yep. Next question is from Michael. Michael is asking, what do daily and weekly time requirements look like? Would it be feasible to work part-time or do consulting on the side while part of being the full-time MBA program?
Yeah, I see Artie. I think Artie laid it out pretty well in his answer. So, Michael, if you can check that pretty much lays it out for you. No one is working a full-time job there. I can tell you that. If people are working part-time, it's it's to make a few extra money. You know, you're talking Starbucks, retail, things like that. Nothing serious for sure.
The consulting part, especially, Michael, everybody's different. I haven't met you. Very few people that I have known would have the mental availability to really do a lot of like consulting work on the side in addition to the full-time MBA. Everybody's different. But yeah, it's mostly people are, they're stocking shelves, they're doing some childcare, they're doing all work is honorable, no work is brainless, but they're doing less intense work and they're doing it 6 or 8 hours per week. And none of them are doing consulting or anything like that.
And Michael, I will tell you, I don't really know of any MBA program that is going to tell you that you can work full-time or do consulting while you're in the program. You know, as already laid out, it's pretty intense no matter where you go. So working like that is not recommended, put it that way.
Thank you. If there's anything else you'd like to know, let us know. Carly has a question. Did any of you decide to work back in the USA after your education? And how is that going? And how did your degree transfer for people hiring in the USA?
So I took a stab at that. I am obviously working in tech, which, like I said, I started in Dublin, but I did search and was networking in the US, specifically in Chicago. I was leveraging the network pretty much. I mean, I think I was talking to UCD in general, not specific to Smurfit, but I kind of just widened it. And there were a number of individuals, as you saw the numbers, that were willing to talk with me, that were willing to help and open the doors. Ultimately, like I said, I ended up in Dublin, but that's not to say that that I had a bad experience. The key there was people loved the international experience, living abroad, working abroad, the international 80%, well, international for Ireland, but that international cohort key in that discussion and opening the doors just even to get the foot in the door for that initial chat. So I didn't have a bad time when trying to search for jobs in the US.
Great. Thank you very much. Unless someone wants to add, we go to another question. Okay, Suganya asked, I wanted to know, how do I apply for international students' visa and documents? So we did have some input from Jim, but anything to add, Jola?
I'm happy to take that, please.
Sure.
Yep. So for a student who is, or prospective student who's a US passport holder, you don't need a visa to enter Ireland. You can simply arrive on a tourist visa. I would recommend you have an offer letter from UCD in your hand luggage so you can show it on the border. And what will happen is the border control officer will put a stamp in your passport. It's called a landing stamp, which will allow you to stay in Ireland for 90 days, 3 months. Sorry, apologies, 2 months, 90 days. And it will, apologies, that's my maths, 3 months. Yeah, that was right first. Apologies. So basically, within those 90 days, you'll have to apply for residence permit. So this is kind of a post-arrival and confirming your immigration status and your residence status really here in Ireland. And it'll give you permission to stay on your student visa until end of your studies. So it's called Irish residence permit. It's like a card, like an ID card. And then if you decide to stay further and apply for stamp 1G, which is the stay back visa, you'll hold on, you'll get the same card, Irish residence permit, but with a different permission for staying afterwards. But that's, I suppose, down the road when you complete your studies. So that's really an outline of what's going to happen for anybody who is a US passport holder. Okay. Thank you for all the all the thumbs up.
We're getting the thumbs up, exactly. So I think you're answering the question right.
Yeah.
So good to see. Next question from Joe. And Joe is asking, I visited your website in the past and noticed the GMAT study group. Is this still happening?
Not at this time, Joe, unfortunately.
Jim?
Yeah, we're not at this time. We don't have that organized. It may happen in the future, but currently, unfortunately, the answer is no. We're not doing that right now. But again, as I said with the GMAT, there's so many ways you can study for it. So just take advantage of any way you can, for sure.
Thank you. Next question from Carly. If I apply for fall of 2023 and decide to wait 1 more year, can my application and acceptance transfer to 2024, or will I need to apply again?
So I'll take that, Carly. I kind of answered you. I mean, it's kind of tough. The thing is, there's I always tell people the biggest hurdle is not just getting in, because if you have good essays, you have good grades, you're probably gonna get into the program. But it's all those other things we've been talking about, like accommodations, and visiting the country and doing those things. So if you wait and you wait and you wait and you don't know, I mean, you're cutting yourself short on coming for this year. So it's almost like you have to make a decision, because if you're gonna come this year, then you got to go all in and you got to start everything. But if you're not and you wait and wait and wait to decide, it's going to make all those other things difficult. So you can do it, but if you're not sure, I mean, you can apply, this year, next year, but just, that decision, every day that goes, that window gets smaller. So just kind of, try to figure out what you need to do, and then, then go from there.
Okay. Thank you. I just got informed by your staff member that there are weekly online GMAT prep sessions, apparently.
Oh.
So I'm pasting the link in the chat for everyone to check it out. And there you see upcoming events from next week, April, till end of August. So there you can find the prep sessions. So yeah, so there are actually some that can help you with the GMAT. Good to hear. And we go over to the next question. Let's see, it's from Destiny. Are there any personal or professional development opportunities you would recommend pursuing to help prepare for the MBA program? Artie, you did answer some, I think, but maybe you want to verbalize that, or anyone wants to help?
I'll actually answer it in a different way. There's what I wrote, and that can speak for itself. But an MBA degree, at least in the United States, I realize there may also be Canadians and Mexicans in on the call. It's North America, but at least in the United States, an MBA degree is somewhat common. You probably know someone, or you know someone who knows someone. It doesn't have to be a Smurfit MBA. It doesn't even need to be a European MBA. Talk to a few MBA students. What have they found useful? about their program, their experience. What have they not found useful? And it's a bit of a loaded question. Ask them about what they wish they had done differently. I have to think every MBA wishes they'd done something a little differently, because you can't know the future. You don't always know. And like I said, there are so many different options and ways to do an MBA. But that's something that I think is universal. Find out what it is that they're using in their career, what they're using in their professional life, what they're using in their personal and hobby life, whatever the fullness of their lived experience. In what ways does the MBA inform that? And listen for the things that speak to them, not because you want to go to the school they attended, but because you want to get an outcome at least as good as the outcome they had. So if someone in your immediate family doesn't have an MBA, look around in your company, look around in your friends' companies, offer to buy them coffee. MBA, reach out to people. Reaching out to strangers is in some ways one of the great skills you're going to learn in a business program. So start early with that. Learn how to reach out to strangers and how to go, oh, they said no. I guess I'm going to ask another stranger, and then find those connections and find out ahead of time what it is that you want to be learning.
Great, thank you, Artie. And yeah, I'm putting on the screen a link to the admissions overview just to make sure that everyone has that as well. So there you find more information on anything that maybe you still want to know about the MBA or the Masters. It's all there. So check it out after the session at your own pace, I would say. Yeah, we are coming to the end of this session. There are no further questions at this point, I see. Seems I do get thank yous from various people. We got the thumbs up already, so I think we're doing good. All right. So seeing that is the last question, I'd like to mention for everyone, if your question is not being answered, or for the people again that are watching online, the recording, we still can come back to your question. So they will probably come back by email and after the session in the coming days or weeks. So having said that, let's wrap up the session. Jim, I'll go over to you to do so. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you for all the participants. It's very important to gather all the information you can. I know it's a big decision, monetarily, especially, moving, if you're going to move to Dublin, it's a big decision. No one's saying it isn't. But we are all here to help you. We'll help you in any way we can. So, please make sure to reach out. As Artie said, you have to reach out if there's questions, problems, things you can't figure out. But we're here to help you. But you're doing the right thing by joining this session today. And, by that, it's a start, and hopefully we've provided the information you needed. So again, my contact information was on there before, so please feel free to email me if you have any other questions. Good luck with the process. We hope to see you, if not this fall, next fall in the program. And good luck with everything during the application process.
Yes, sorry for pasting it over your head, but we had the last polling question just to make sure for everyone to see how we did. Thanks for letting us know. Give us your rating, 1 to 5, 5 being awesome as it says on the screen. Hope we met your expectations. And thanks everyone, and hope maybe to see some of you being classmates next year in Dublin. So from my side, thanks everyone, especially the students, and of course Jim and Yola. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks everybody. See you, Jim.